Hi guys, welcome back. Today's video we're going to kind of talk about how Power Tour went. We're going to talk about the car, how the car did, what our thoughts were on this year's Power Tour, and kind of where we're going to go with the car. Talk about some of the issues we had with the car, some of the issues with Power Tour, just stuff like that, kind of recap. So let's get into it. So first things first, it's about a week after Power Tour, after we got home. Haven't done anything to the car. I've moved it around a couple times. I had to work on some stuff, so I had to on other people's cars, so I've moved it in and out a couple times, but you can hear it popping and banging. Everything's cooling down. I just pulled it back in. But anyway, the car did okay-ish, you know. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm disappointed, because I mean the car did great as far as, you know, getting there and getting us home. We did have a couple of minor issues. If you watch my videos, you know we almost lost the drain plug out of the radiator. It's got a relatively new, like less than a year old aluminum radiator that's got just a little plastic threaded drain plug. We were leaving, I think it was on the second day we were leaving to go out of the venue. It was late in the day. We'd been there all day. So no, I guess it'd have been the first day. Yeah, it'd been the first day. That was the only day we were there that long. And a guy flagged me down and was like, man, you're puking coolant out everywhere. So I wheeled in, and the drain plug was just barely hanging, like it was about to fall out, and the O-ring had just deteriorated. So good quality crap right there, you know. That was a little aggravating, you know, pretty much brand new radiator. But anyway, luckily there was a guy there that had some O-rings, Dustin Tart, thanks again, buddy. Got me fixed up. And then the other thing, which was weird, was the driver's front brake locked up on us one day. We were just going down the highway, and that thing started shaking like hell. Like, I would have bet money we were fixing to lose the wheel. Got it pulled over. That wheel was just smoking. You know, the brakes were hot. Wound up after that, you know, it was just like when you push the pedal, if you didn't pull the pedal all the way up, it would hang, which I don't understand why it just did that side and not both sides, but I don't know. But anyway, that was the only real major breakdowns we had. But we did have other issues. The car obviously has some slack in the front end that is a lot worse than I had realized, which, I mean, I knew it had a little bit, but driving around here, you know, just close to home and stuff, it's really not that big an issue. And before I replaced that rear end, we had a pretty horrible vibration, so we never really got up to any higher speeds, so it never really was an issue. So once we got that fixed and, you know, actually got on Power Tour and we're driving long distances at higher speeds, it really was an issue. There was a couple times, like, it was sketchy. Like, it was bad enough Tuesday, I was almost ready to throw the towel in and just try to limp it home. But then we decided to go ahead the next day and actually got into some better roads. And as long as the roads are good and smooth, it's really not that bad. But if you get some crappy roads, it wants to follow every groove, every hump, you know. And, you know, especially on like those 4-lane divided highways or whatever, when you're running, you know, 65, 70 with a bunch of other traffic, it gets a little scary. So I've definitely got to check that out. I know most of it's in the steering box itself, but there may be some other issues. So I'll have to definitely tighten that up, get all that took care of. And I think that'll be a big help. It does ride like an old iron-tired wagon, so I would like to do something about that. And let's see, what else? The car definitely has developed some new noises. It's so weird. We had stopped somewhere. I think it was the day that the radiator messed up, and we got back into town from the venue and stopped at O'Reilly's, and I was going to try to pick up a pack of O-rings and a few things, and I had to get some more coolant just in case we had another issue. And so I just ran in. The wife stayed in the car. I was in there for a little while, and I come out, and she was like, you know, some weird stuff happened with the car while you're gone. I'm like, what do you mean? She said, well, I was just sitting here and it popped, like, and you could feel it in the whole car. And I'm like, what? She goes, I know it sounds crazy, but like, we probably sit there for 5 minutes and then it made this weird noise. So I'm like, okay, no, I don't think you're crazy. I mean, these old cars do crazy shit. So anyway, we went on, and you know, I never could get it to do it. And one day we were sitting somewhere. I think we'd went somewhere to eat, and before we went in, she was like, well, just sit here for a little bit. So I did. I just kind of sat in the car, and sure enough, after a few minutes, there was this kind of a popping noise, and you could like feel it in the whole car, like, and it did kind of sound like it came from this side, almost like the spring in the front end like shifted or something. I've jacked it up. I don't know. But since we've been home, I've been noticing a weird noise back here in the right rear. And I did kind of get under it the other day, and of course I was by myself. It's hard to do some of this stuff by yourself, which I don't know if I can get it to do it. And hold the camera. Let's see if I can find a place to set you for a second. I got too much crap in my shop. Anyway, you kind of push up and down on it. There it goes. Every once in a while. I don't know what that is. It does kind of feel like when I was underneath it that the rear spring on this side kind of moves around. So I don't know. I mean, nothing's like falling off of it, but I don't know. It's just weird. Like, so I'm having some, you know, some pretty good suspension gremlins that we're going to have to take care of if we continue to drive this on long trips like that. Let's see what else. Obviously there's something going on with the brakes. I mean, we were able to keep going the way it was, but I don't want to have to, you know, like my foot was sore from pulling up on the pedal by the end of the week. So we definitely need to remedy that. So what else? It does still have a slight vibration from about 57 to 65. Not 100% sure what that is. It may still be something with the pinion angle. Maybe I didn't get it right. I may have to recruit some help on that because I don't really know what else to do with it. The motor is definitely getting noisier. That's a little concerning. Still runs fine. Got great oil pressure. So I don't know. I don't know what some of this stuff is, but I'm sick of working on this car. So it's probably going to be a little while before we dig into those things. I mean, I know for sure we got to get a steering box. I really would like to do QA1 suspension on it, but this car was really supposed to just be a beater till we finish this car. And I really want to do all the, which I know I put like these tubular control arms and stuff on this car just because I had them, but I would really, if I'm going to spend the money on QA1, like a full QA1 suspension, I would rather do it on this car. So I don't know what I'm going to do. So that's another thing. We're kind of going to pause on this car for a little while till I decide how much further I want to go with it, or just kind of keep it as a beater. And, you know, I don't really just want to keep throwing money at it and throwing money at it and throwing money at it. So I think we're, like I said, we're going to take a break from it for a little while and probably get back on the Ventura. I haven't messed with it in a couple of months because we were focused on the gray car, trying to get it ready for power tour. But it's getting close. I mean, I was getting there. So I would really like to get it back to, or get it running and driving down the road. Like, we have not drove this car on the highway yet. And I really didn't have like a clear vision on what I wanted to do with this car. I mean, I'm kind of leaning towards like street strip car. I mean, it is kind of set up. I mean, it does have a roll cage, or not a roll cage, but a roll bar, a few other little things, but this motor ain't gonna cut it as far. I mean, it's just a turd, so it's gonna have to have a different motor, transmission, rear end, all that. But if I can get it to run and run decent enough for a little while, we'll focus on doing everything else that the car needs while we decide what engine and transmission combo we're going to use. I really don't want to put an LS in it, but I have a brand new fresh built turbo motor that needs to go in something, but I would really like to make it Pontiac powered. But it's going to need suspension, brakes, all that crap. There's a lot I want to do to the interior, make it kind of driver friendly. So we can do all that with this motor that's in it and make it just kind of a cruiser for right now and get everything set up the way we want it. And then that way, when I do make a decision on, you know, what power plant I'm gonna put in it, we can just do that, drop it in, and it's ready to go. One thing I definitely want to do is this car sits up like a damn four-wheel drive, and it's got these extended shackles on it. I have the original ones. I think I'm gonna put them back in there because I think it has the shocks like bottomed out to the top, like, and it's got everything I got has weird noises in the suspension, but I think it's because the shocks are at their, you know, upper travel. So I think when you push down on it, it comes back up, it kind of bumps. So I'm gonna drop that down. The front end sits way too high, so I don't know. I'm sure it's got big block springs in it, so I don't know what I'm gonna do there. I don't know if I'll do drop spindles, drop springs. I really like to do tubular control arms on it, you know, maybe just some cheap ones like these. QA1 stuff is expensive. I mean, it's badass stuff, but it's, you know, it's pretty high dollar stuff. So I don't know what we're gonna do there. I can't leave these tires and wheels on it and drive it because the front tires are too big and they rub when you turn. So it's gonna be worse when I lower it, I'm sure. So I have to do something there. I do have, I mean, I'm gonna put the welds on it. I do have some new front tires for the front runners, but I don't have tires for the back yet. But I seen a car on PowerTour. I'll try to drop a picture of it. I didn't get to talk to the guy. I did take pictures of it. I saved a picture of it, but he's got an earlier one, like, I don't know, 70, 71, 72 maybe, that had the perfect stance, and it had just steel wheels and dog dish hubcaps, and it looked awesome. It was gold, but like I said, I'll try to drop a picture in it. So I found a set of hubcaps for it, like the dog dish hubcaps. I've got a set of 7-inch steel wheels around here somewhere that'll need painted, but you know, God knows where they're at. But I'll have to order. I want to put 8s on the back, but I need to measure for back spacing and everything. And so I thought about doing that, putting the steel wheels with the dog dish hubcaps on it for street use with street tires, and then, you know, having the welds with, you know, maybe some drag radials or something if we ever want to race it, or we can just swap those out. That's kind of the plan for this car. I do, like I said, want to do some different seats. I would like to put carpet in it, sound deaden everything. It needs door seals and, you know, window channels, because I won't be able to handle all that rattling. I got to finish the wiring, all that fun stuff. I'm afraid it's going to overheat because it doesn't have a fan shroud, so we may have to come up with some type of fan shroud. But that's kind of, I think, what we're going to work on next, because I really just need a break from this car. This car is just, I love this car, but I'm just sick of working on it, and I'm sick of spending money on it. So I was really hoping that we were going to be to the point where it was just a driver. I wasn't going to have to just keep throwing money at it and keep working on it. But you know how these old cars are. You think you get all the bugs lined out, and then you take it on a week-long, you know, 2,100-mile trip, and you find all these new problems. So we'll eventually get back on it. Like I said, I can't just not finish, you know, the stuff that it needs. But I mean, I think right now, other than some of the weird noises, I'll definitely have to fix all that shit. But it's still drivable. Like, I mean, around here close, I mean, I wouldn't want to take off. Like, if there was another PowerTour next week, I probably wouldn't go in this car. It's just, you know, just how it is. But yeah, she's She's testing my patience. She just needs to be right for a little while, you know. But what else? What else we gonna talk about? Oh yeah, I did swap out the front license plate for the new year Power Tour. So let's talk about Power Tour now. It was a blast, as always. We had such a good time. We met so many cool folks. There was a lot of folks that I didn't get to meet that I really wanted to. Like, I know I've said it before, there's a Facebook page. There's actually a couple of them that I follow that's about the Power Tour. And communicated with a lot of folks on it, you know, that we wanted to kind of meet up with. But Power Tour is huge. And it's kind of hectic. And you don't always... You know, like if you're just relying on just bumping into somebody, it's probably not going to happen. It's really hard to explain. It's huge. And so there were people that we had talked to back and forth on the Facebook page, kept up with, that we didn't get to hang out with or meet. I saw their cars, you know, some of their cars, but people ain't always with their cars. They're walking around, they're doing other stuff. I know me and several other people had talked about swapping stickers. We had made up some channel stickers with the car on it. It says Ratty Goat Garage. So a lot of people wanted to do that, had YouTube channels that had, you know, stickers also. We were trying to meet up. I did, you know, meet up with a couple people. I'll try to link some of their pages in my description, so go check them out. Give them a follow. It's just crazy that big a group of people, and everybody's just cool. Like, everybody has the same, you know, mindset. You know, I didn't run into anybody that I was just like, man, they're kind of, you know, everybody was nice. Everybody had cool stuff to say. Everybody was supportive. It's just a great time. I've said it time and time again, if you're just slightly into old cars, Power Tour is a must. Even if you go as a spectator, you just need to go experience, because you just can't describe it. But yeah, we had a ball. This year's route, and I'm gonna say right off the bat, I am not griping, so don't hammer me in the comments. But that kind of going back to, you know, everybody being cool on tour, there's a lot of complaining on the Facebook page, but I didn't see any of it like in person. Like, everybody that I came in contact with at the tour were awesome. They were all having a good time. Everybody was enjoying it. But then you get these guys or people on the internet that just gripe and complain about every little thing, the lines, this, that, and the other. But I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're going on Power Tour, you got to expect long lines. There's just no way around it. You can't have something that big and try to get that many people into any venue anywhere and not have delays. You're going to sit in traffic. You're going to, you know, if your car's not up to snuff, if you don't have a good cooling system, you're going to overheat. You just got to know going into that. That's just part of it. It's not a problem, you know. I mean, I know going into it, that's going to be part of it. Really, to me, Power Tour isn't about the venue anyway. Power Tour is about, you know, meeting the people, enjoying these cars, going through small town America, you know, going through all these cool little towns and meeting the people. And, you know, the gas station stops with, you know, 100 other old cars, you know, hanging out in the hotel parking lots. It's like a party every night. That's what it's about. The venue's just a necessary evil, because if you're long hauling, you got to go to the venue to punch your card and say you did it. So, I mean, to me, that's not what the Power Tour is about. I think there are some folks that just, that's all they care about. I just got to get to the venue, get my card punched. They don't, you know, they go early or they go the night before so they can be the first person there. You know, I don't understand that. But whatever. I mean, whatever you want to do on Power Tour, that's your thing. I mean, you enjoy it how you want to enjoy it. But yeah, I mean, I don't have any complaints about it. I do think that we're kind of getting to the point where Power Tour is getting so big, and we've lost so many venues over the last several years that they're probably having a hard time finding a place that can accommodate this big of an event. You know, most of the time they try to make the venues close enough where it's just, you know, a few hours between stops, and they try to always do the back roads. I know we had one date this year that was, you know, the actual official route was on the interstate, and I think a lot of people had trouble. I think there was a lot of rough spots on. I think a lot of people got bent wheels and all that. We weren't able to do the interstate because of the car. So, but even if we could have, we would have chose an alternate route, because I don't want to, it's no fun going down the interstate. But that turned our, you know, 4-hour day into an all-day event, because, you know, it was a lot longer to go around the back roads. But still, we saw a lot of nice country and all that. But that's where my issue with this year's deal, which is not Power Tours, it was my own. So we did go ahead the night before on that day, because it was so long. I didn't want to work, you know, I didn't want to do it all on the one day. So we didn't get to hang out in the hotel parking lots with all the cool other cars and people and all that, because we had went on ahead. That was my doing. That wasn't, that's no shot at Power Tour or the people that put on Power Tour. That was my deal. And then the next day we had got a hotel that was about an hour away from the venue, and I thought that was close enough. We would still be in with groups of people from Power Tour, but we weren't. So that was kind of disappointing, but again, that was my fault. That had nothing to do with Power Tour. The route this year, mostly for us, just seemed like farmland. We went through a lot of farmland and not the little towns. But again, I'm not complaining. I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, you can't, every year is not going to be like the last. Last year we went through a lot of neat little towns. There were a ton of people that came out to, you know, wave, and the kids were collecting Hot Wheels, and so there wasn't a lot of that this year. But I mean, that's just part of it. Like I said, I think finding venues that can support it are getting fewer and far between. So I mean, who knows what next year's going to be like. But that's my only issue. I know a lot of people were griping about the drive and the route and all that. I just don't get it. We still had we had a ball, and most of the people we came in contact with did too. And of course, every year, ever since there's been a Facebook page, there's always the argument about new versus old. All the guys in the old cars don't want people there with the new cars, and, you know, there should be a year model cut off and blah blah blah. So sick of hearing that. You know, I'll give you my opinion on it. I'm not trying to stir up no shit and start a debate, but let's see here. The very first year I went to Power Tour was in 2008. I don't know if you can see that, but I was in a 06 GTO. There may be a glare on it. So it was a pretty new car at the time. The next year, I went in a 2012 Ram Express. And then the next time I went was in a 2010 Camaro SS. And then last year, we took the same car we took this year. So last year technically was my first time ever doing it in an old car. I've had old cars my entire life, just never any that would have made the trip. I personally don't have a problem with the newer cars, if you know, like if it's a new Camaro, new Mustang, new Challenger, or a fast truck or anything like that, I don't care. Like, it doesn't bother me. I will say it is a completely different experience when you're in an old car. But yeah, I mean, and you also think, like, you know, a lot of the, you know, younger generation, to them, these newer cars, you know, that's what's hot for them. You know, we're always saying we need to get the new generation into this stuff. Well, that's how you're going to do it, by allowing them to bring their newer Camaros or their newer Mustangs or their newer Challengers or whatever. I will say One issue I do have about newer cars are, man, I'm probably gonna catch some heat for this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. But like, if you're driving a Chevy Equinox, don't pull into the venue. Like don't pull up into the front. Like, that's great if that's what you're in. Like, if your old car didn't make it and you still want to experience Power Tour, awesome, bring your daily. Who cares? Nobody cares. But it is a little aggravating when all the guys with the real hot rods are parked way out in the back 40 and got to walk past 1,000 Honda Accords or Chevy Equinoxes that are parked up in the very front by, you know, that's a little aggravating. But still, I mean, it doesn't affect me and my enjoyment of the experience. I'm just saying, nobody wants to walk past a bunch of Chevy Equinoxes or whatever. That's, you know, if that offends you, I apologize, but that's just my 2 cents. I can get the, you know, newer, you know, V8 rear-wheel drive muscle cars, or the trucks that, you know, are like that Dodge Ram that's in that picture right there was probably the fastest thing out of all of those. Like, it would smoke that Camaro. The GTO may have been a little bit faster. I don't know. I can't remember. I mean, that was a long time ago. But that truck was quick. From a dig. Now, top end, that Camaro would leave it. But, you know, I think in a 8th mile drag race or whatever, that truck would smoke that Camaro. Because, you know, I did order it with that was the only new truck I've ever bought in my entire life. I was working at a Dodge store at the time. And that's what I told him. I said, find me a black Express with 392 gears and I'll buy it. So, but yeah, for a production truck, that sucker was quick. But yeah, I mean, I caught a lot of hell that year that I took it. Like, nobody wanted to see that, and I didn't, you know, you know, I think there were some days we even parked in spectator parking and just went in and punched our card. But again, like I said, I'm not trying to say that if you don't need to be there if you are driving a Honda Accord. I mean, I want everybody that wants to come, but that's just my 2 cents. I'm hopefully not stirring up too big of a ordeal or a debate about it, but that's just my opinion. And I know there were a lot of people that were like, that had old cars but had people in their group that were like with them that would bring, like, I guess they call them like support vehicles or whatever, and it would be something like that, a, you know, Honda Pilot or whatever. That doesn't bother me. Like, that's not what I'm getting at. I'm not saying you shouldn't bring that stuff or any of that. I don't know. I'm just saying, you know, we're having a hard time fitting everybody into some of these venues, so, you know, just, I don't know. I probably shouldn't even say it, but that's just my 2 cents on it. Let's see what else. Now that I probably stirred the pot, I'm trying to think of what else we're going to talk about here. It was, I guess the technical specs of the tour was, for us, was 8 states. We left Arkansas, went through Mississippi, Tennessee, up to Kentucky, Ohio, I guess back to Kentucky, and, you know, somewhere in there, I don't even remember. And then Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, and back to Arkansas. We did about 2,100 miles. I didn't keep track of how many gallons of fuel or what my fuel mileage was. I think we figured it up once. It was around 15 miles a gallon maybe. Didn't use any oil. I guess that's about it. Money wise, I mean, you know, counting rooms and everything, food, fuel, and all that, I would say probably $2,000, $2,500 maybe more than that. I don't know. I didn't really keep up with that close. But yeah, I mean, we had a blast. I'm excited for next year. I hope the route is good, but even if it's not, you know, the biggest thing for me is where it goes will determine on what, you know, if it's going to be super far away at the end, I don't know that we'll go, or if we'll do all of it. This year, the ending was about 13 hours from home, It's actually a little over 13 hours. It was a long damn way. You know, when it's far away at the beginning, you're pumped up to go and you're all excited, so you don't think about it. But by the end of the week, my old ass is tired, and then you drive half a day to get to the last venue of the last day, and then you're 13, 14 hours from home. It's just like, oh God, you know. So I would really I hope it kind of ends closer to us this year, but you know, whatever. It can't, you know, it can't end close to everybody's house. It's got to go different places every year. So we'll just, they usually announce in January, I think. So we'll be patiently waiting for them to announce that and see where it's going to go. And hopefully by then I'll kind of have an idea of what else is, or what's going on with this car, and an idea of what it's going to take to make it better, if that's the car we take. I mean, who knows? I may buy something else between now and then. I mean, it's a year away. I may have another project that we might take. Who knows? I mean, you just never know around here. I'm all the time buying and selling old junkers, so that one probably won't go because it doesn't have heat or air. So I don't know that would be a good thing to take on Power Tour or not. I mean, I guess it wouldn't matter about the heat because it's the middle of summer, but I'm kind of getting old and spoiled. I'd like to have air conditioning. That's nice. That's the best. I think that's the best money I've ever spent on a car, is putting AC on it. It makes a world of difference. But I don't know. We'll see. But I just don't think this one is going to be a good, you know, Power Tour car. It would need a ton of work, so we'll see. But I have, you know, I've been kind of watching a few things. I'm just like a marketplace addict. I'm on that thing every day looking at stuff, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to buy something else right now and tinker with it, or just keep working on what I got. I've got plenty of projects, but sometimes it's hard to just pass up a good deal on something, you know. But yeah, that's kind of my Power Tour experience this year. It was good. We had a lot of fun. It was a little stressful, like I said, with the car. I was a little nervous about it some, but I mean, that's kind of the point of driving these old cars, you know. We build them, we test them as much as we can before we go, but you know, old cars are temperamental. You just never know what's going to happen. So, but yeah, but you know, the older I get, the more important safety is. And you know, if I don't feel safe in it, it's, you know, I've got to figure out what's going on with the front end. But like I said, I do think a good new, maybe quick ratio steering box will take care of most of that. Figure out what's going on with all these weird popping and banging in the suspension, get all that fixed. And then maybe, you know, I think that would be the majority of it. And also hopefully figuring out what's going on with the brakes. That's so weird, because like this car, when I started this car, it was a bare shell a long time. It was probably 12 years ago when I started first putting it together. So the very first thing I did was went through the entire front end and the entire brake system. So all of it was new, but it's old. Like, it doesn't have many miles on it, but it's got a lot of years on it, and it's set for a long time. I have since gone through all the brakes again because, you know, when I first got the car going, sorry, had company. I don't remember what we were talking about. I think we were talking about the car and the front end and the brake. Oh yeah, I was telling you that the all the stuff had been replaced, but it was a long time ago. But anyway, I when I first got the car back together and running, when it had the 400 and the 4-speed in it, I was having issues with the brakes locking up. I thought it was just calipers. It had set so long. I replaced all that. It wound up being the booster rod was too long. I guess I didn't measure it when I first put the car together, so I thought I'd fixed all that, but now it's doing the exact same thing. So everything has been replaced other than the booster since then. It's got new calipers, new rotors, new hoses, I think a new master cylinder. It's got all new rear brakes when I put the 9-inch in it. So the only thing left really is the booster. So I don't know, but I'm gonna dig into that before I start ordering parts. But yeah, it's just, I think those things, suspension and brakes, are my biggest concern with the car right now. Well, and steering. I mean, I kind of lump that in with suspension. So, but yeah, we need to get that stuff took care of. But again, I definitely need a break from it for a little while. We may take a month or so off of dealing with this car. I think there's a couple of shows, maybe next month, or maybe I don't remember. Before, you know, those are the ones here local that we usually try to make before the end of the season. So I'll probably wait until those are over before I really tear into it, because I don't want the car tore down and not be able to go still enjoy it. I kind of have some, I don't want to say obligations, but you know, people that I've already talked to about going to a couple of these shows, so I definitely want to go. But I'm trying to get this one, because one of them is just like one town over, so it's real close, and it's one we always go to. So I really would like to get this one driving good enough to where I can take it and the wife can take the gray car, and so we'll have two in that show hopefully. And it actually has a unfinished class, so you know, we won't be the only ones there in ratty crap, so that's always nice. I know I've said it before, but every car show should have a either unfinished or a builder class or something, because there's a lot of people that have stuff like I got that won't take their stuff to a car show because they don't think it's nice enough, you know. And there's an audience for cars like this, I have found out. People dig this kind of stuff, you know, and it's also something that most people can afford. You know, a lot of people, especially younger people, can't afford, well, even me, hell, I'm 50 years old and I can't afford, you know, a fully restored, nice, you know, badass car. That's why everything I have is junk. I have to buy it as junk and then try to build it myself, you know, because I can't afford, you know, 6 figures for a nice GTO or, you know, whatever. So yeah, if you promote a car show, throw in a builder class or a unfinished class. I mean, I know a lot of them have rat rod classes, but this car doesn't qualify as a rat rod. Rat rods are like old hot rod, like from the 30s and 40s, you know. These, to me, this is something that, you know, this is the kind of stuff we grew up with, you know, old, you know, we buy an old muscle car. We couldn't ever afford to have them painted or nothing, so we just, you know, try to make them run and drive, and they all look like this. I mean, that black car looks just like it did when I was in high school. You know, I don't know if you can tell in the video, but it's got a lot of rattle can paint on it. The top of it's all faded. That's kind of how it looked in high school. So, I mean, but I drove the shit out of this car, and I loved it. And 90% of the people I went to school with drove very similar things. You know, hell, even the girls when I was in high school had hot rods. So, but I think it's kind of where I'm going to leave this video for now. Like I said, hopefully the next one we'll get back out here and get to working on something, more than likely the Ventura. But I just kind of wanted to give my 2 cents on Power Tour and kind of give an update on how the car did and where the car is at now, what the car needs, what I want to do with the car. But yeah, it's Power Tour. Like I said, it is a blast, but it is definitely not one of those relaxing vacations. It's, you know, you're driving a lot. You're either driving or walking around all day, every day. So in the heat. So be prepared for that if you've never been. You know, and I've also seen a lot of people post on the page like, oh, I'm new, I've never done this before, what should I bring? First thing I always say is patience. Bring patience, because there is a lot of, you know, traffic, a lot of sitting in traffic, and then once you get in play, you're standing in line, but it's worth every bit of it. It is so much fun. And you got a year, so go work on your junk, and I'll see you next year. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.